How many years?
See, I've been at Boswell. This will be my 16th year, starting my 16th year. It'll be 19 years total. I think one of the things that's changed through the years as far as coaching for me is that now you have to I think you have to give kids a reason why we're going to do something a certain way. I think that we've kind of had to adapt to the way that kids think now, and like I said, you can't coach kids the way you did 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
I've been coaching for over 15 years, 7 years in either public school or private school. I feel that I'm always making changes in my approach each season to my team and to my players. There are certain key principles that will never change in what I do, and I think that's something that you find in all programs.
I'm the cross-country and track coach at Boswell High School. This will be my 15th year at Boswell High School. And just talking a little bit about what I've experienced over the 35 years I've been coaching. I've encountered is what you're doing today is technology. It's just incredible. And you know, for me, getting up in my 50s, I've seen a big change for the best in technology. We have heart monitors, we have running watches, we have all these different shoes with different technologies. So I think the technology part is the biggest change I've seen over the years that I've coached. And by goodness, it's very difficult to keep up with all the changes, but we're trying.
I've been coaching for 28 years now. It's been a great career. Had a lot of fun coaching a lot of sports. I've served as an athletic director, head football coach, a head baseball coach, head golf coach. I've coached girls soccer. I've coached a lot of sports and enjoyed all aspects of it. Things that, as I go through, as I get a little older, that I think probably have changed a lot in my mind. I think I'm more flexible now. Used to, it was kind of everything had to be regimented exactly like we laid it out. Now I figured out as long as we're getting the work in, I don't care when we do it. I think probably understanding that kids have a lot going on and being flexible enough to get their work in. If they're willing to do it, we got to be flexible enough to get the time to spend with them. So that's the biggest change. It's been around a lot of great athletes and great coaches, and I think the one thing that stays consistent is if you care about what you're doing, your kids will respond to you.
I just finished my 7th year of coaching. I spent 4 years out at Permian, and then I've been open the Chisholm Trail, been here 3 years. Not so much of a zero tolerance guy anymore as I am a people person that, you know, I want to build people up and make them better than what they were, and a lot of times that means giving second chances or even third chances, but in the long run I think athletes will be a lot better prepared for their future after school if they have those opportunities to make mistakes now instead of making them later on.
This will be going on year 17. I've definitely changed. I started in the middle schools, now at the high school level. Go to lots of clinics and try to stay current with the information, with the science, especially with runners. You know, the different ways to lift and the different ways to train. And then most importantly, the recovery that the athlete needs to be ready for the next day.
My 5th year teaching and coaching, my 4th year here at Chisholm Trail, I opened the school. And so things have changed dramatically. On the wrestling side, we've gone from a non-UIL sport to a UIL sport. But just for me individually, probably the biggest thing is I've learned more how to read my kids. When I first started, I was gung-ho and just push.
I've been coaching 20 years, and in some ways I have not changed at all. Some people, they kind of laugh when they see me out there on the court whenever I'm coaching. I'm pretty intense out there. So I'm pretty proud that I still have that intensity. Now I've changed in that when I first started coaching, like a lot of young coaches, I did a lot of demonstration. I would demonstrate the gymnastic skills. All right, this is how we do this. Boom, I'd get up and do it. I'm 43. I can't do that anymore. So one of the biggest things that I have changed, and it's for the better, is technology. The internet, I'm sure with all sports, especially my sport with gymnastics, you have your individual skills. So I pull up some of the best gymnasts in the world. I have the video of them doing their skill. And with technology today, you can have that on your computer. I set up my iPad. You put it on a 30-second delay. So I have the best gymnast in the world. I have little Johnny. He does his skill. He walks right over. and they compare each other right there.
I think when I first started coaching, one thing that I tried to do was I tried to solve it all. Every kid that I touched, I wanted to make him into a John McEnroe or Bjorn Borg. It's not, you're not capable of doing that. Occasionally you're going to get one. And I've been fortunate enough to get a hold of a couple of kids that went all the way. But the majority of the kids, we're teaching them more life skills. We're teaching them to be proud of themselves. And more than anything is my philosophy of coaching, which is basically trying to get them to become the best player that they possibly can be and become the player that they don't think they're capable of becoming.
Well, I coached for 13 years, middle school, high school, in the big sports, the big 3 or 4. Got into administration for about 20 years. Came back into tennis at Saginaw High School. I think one of the changes I've seen from when I first started coaching to now would be that as a young coach starting out, I yelled a lot. And I think a lot of young coaches think that we're going to yell a lot to get the kids' attention. You get their attention because you're busy instructing, you're coaching, and when you're not getting the response and you do have to raise your voice, that's when you get their attention, as opposed to yelling all the time. And then when you really want their attention and you yell, it's that coach yelling again.
I have coached young ladies in volleyball, basketball, and track for over 20 years, 2 years at high school, and the rest have all been in middle school. And one of the things I've learned over the years is not to be in control too much. You're going to lose games, you're going to have successes, you're going to have failures, but you have to realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not just about this one game. You can't put too much emphasis on that. It's a journey. And so one of the things I realized is that my stress level and my control factor absolutely affects the way that they play. So, as a coach, as I've matured, I've realized sometimes you just have to back off and let them shine, let them play, and take a little bit of that control away.
I think a good coach entails basically communication and relationships with the kids. Obviously, conversations have to take place so they can trust you and you can trust them. Like I said, the conversation with them and get to know them and their families.
Characteristics of a great coach, I feel, are a coach that's willing to consistently make changes to the way they deal with their team and their approach to each individual season.
So number one, they had passion. Okay, every time you saw them, they had a passion for what they did, and they had the vision also, a vision of what they wanted for the program. And the third thing, the quality, I thought, when I look back at it, is they provided that leadership for kids that were coming into the program, kids that were on the senior level.
The thing in a great coach is that he can improve accountability on every level. That's the first thing I would look for. The next thing that I look for is someone who is good at organizing goals that relate to the team he has or she has. So when they set goals, it's realistic to what the players need and what they want, because they're the ones that have to buy in. So if we're good at setting our goals and the players have input into that, I think that you're a whole lot more likely to attain the goals that the team sets.
When I first started coaching, I really felt like the technical expertise of your program and also the ability to motivate and to give pep talks and those types of things were going to be the two big factors that were the most important in building a program. But over the years, I've really found that those two things really pale in comparison to just the ability to build relationships with kids, because when you're able to build those relationships and they know that you've got their back in the gym, out of the gym, in the classroom, out in the community, wherever, they'll do anything you ask.
All right, a good coach is someone who is organized, listens, but is very adaptable as well to the changing situations and looks at their different athletes to see what they need to be successful.
Well, the characteristics of a good coach, in my opinion, is a person who is just willing to work. It comes down to work ethic and motivating your kids. I think, one of the first things I do as a coach when we get the kids in is we set a goal.
The first and foremost is the willingness to keep learning, because styles change. In my sport, techniques change. Skills are constantly evolving, so instilling that desire into your athletes. Times have changed. It's not coaching a whole group and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It is, you coach the group, but you also bring it down to the individual level.
Are the coach's ability to motivate the kid. And since we live in such an extrinsic world where kids have to get a ribbon, have to get a trophy every time they do something, I think the real goal to most coaches to get the kid to be motivated because he wants to be good and not what he wins or what he, the fear of losing, just to be good at what they do and to be proud of it.
Or the coach has to be more in tune with the student and their individual needs.
Build relationships with their team. I think that they realize that it isn't about them, it is about the team, and they let the kids shine. That's something I've learned over the years. It's difficult sometimes as a young coach not to be overly critical of yourself and your team, but as I've grown and matured, I've realized that let the kids shine. It's all about them, it's not about you.
I think the characteristic of a good program is mainly, obviously, the expectation to win, but I think it's more a common message that, like myself and all the coaches speak the same thing. They all express the same ideals, and we get those across to the kids. So whenever we get out there, we're going to be able to, if we don't necessarily have the amount of talent that the others have, that we would have the ability to outwork people. And I think a lot of that comes from the trust and the respect that you earn through the kids, and but more than anything, like I said, it's a common message that's given from the head coach and the coaches along with all the athletes.
A characteristic of a great program is a program that creates a very competitive culture within the program. Each player every day in our program has to earn everything that they receive. No player is guaranteed a spot. No player is given a spot. We create an environment that each day every player competes for their position. We track everything that they do. We keep score in everything that we possibly can, and we post that for the players to see how they're performing against other athletes in our program.
Talked about conduct yourself with pride, with class, and with humility.
Coaches that I've always been around are really good at understanding how to bring kids along into a program. They pass down from each class goals and accomplishments. They bring other people into their program that encourage results. I think coaches that reward progress, and if they're able to chart results as we go along, that makes the whole program a lot better. So,
it's really been my experience that when you love what you do, then what would seem like hard work to most people is fun for you. And I've been very fortunate over the years to work with a lot of athletes who just love the sport of gymnastics and hand that love down to the ones that come after them in the program. And so, it's hard not to have a great time when you go into the gym every day and you see those kids working hard and having a great time working hard. And so just that passion and that love for the sport, I think, is what really builds a program in the long run.
Again, very well organized, very well thought out, but at the same time, focusing on each individual athlete and seeing what they need to be successful, so that even though you have a plan, you're willing to deviate from it a little bit to make sure that kid is very successful as well.
Again, I think ultimately it's got to be an intrinsic motivation that comes from within themselves. What we try to do here is just create an atmosphere in which success is inevitable. Where we've got a nice facility, we keep the room nice, it's clean, it's mopped every day. Our locker room is clean. We have motivation signs up all over. We try to be upbeat and positive with the kids. And But again, ultimately, it comes down to, and we put this on them all the time, is how bad do you want it?
So two things that make great programs are knowledge, bringing in the right, a great staff. Also, last thing with great programs is you can have a good team once, but how do you keep that team successful? It's the hunger.
Of course, this is very interesting with tennis because we have a team concept that we're all playing as individuals. But I think the same thing can be said to football. Everybody's doing their own job. Everybody's trying to work to a common goal, but we're only as good as our weakest link. Everybody has to do their job. And I know that sounds a little cliche-ish, but you've got to have the kids buy into it.
The great characteristics of a great athletic program, it's going to have to start with you got to have great athletes. Do you want the great coaching versus great athletes? That's always been something everybody discusses at coaching school. You've got to have, to win at the highest level, you've got to have the elite athlete. You've got to have great, solid coaching. Something that a lot of people, young coaches, forget about. You also have to have great parents and supportive parents, and there's got to be a lot of communication between the athlete, the coach, and the parents to get everybody on the same page so that we're all focused on that one goal.
I think great teams are all in. The kids buy into your program, they buy into your goals, and we are all trying to reach a common goal.
How bad do you want it?